My name is Christelle, and in this video, I'll be talking about what it feels like to have anemia. So I'll be going over what my worst symptoms were, when they started, and when they finally went away. I was diagnosed with mild iron-deficient anemia in the fall of 2020, and that was just during a standard medical checkup. But by June 2021, it had snowballed into moderate anemia, and I felt like absolute crap. For all of this to really make sense, let me take you through my story. After routine blood draw in the fall of 2020, I was diagnosed with mild anemia. I wasn't aware that I was anemic. I didn't notice any symptoms, and all I was advised to do was to take some iron supplements and eat iron-rich food, such as shellfish, spinach, red meat. I did know the underlying issue, which was that I had really heavy periods, so my doctor wasn't really worried, and neither was I. Then in November of 2020, my monthly bleeding turned into daily bleeding due to very pesky, aggressive fibroid, and I was working with my gynecologist to fix that, but just went on living my life. By February of 2021, I was starting to feel symptoms of anemia. I was feeling very fatigued, and I went and I saw my primary care physician, so my doctor, and he did a blood draw, and my hemoglobin came back at 10.5. Hemoglobin is a protein that's responsible for transporting oxygen around in the blood. So basically when your hemoglobin is low, you're low in oxygen. And the normal range for a woman is 11.6 to 15.2. So at 10.5, I was now below that. I was still given a mild anemia diagnosis and was sent home, again with the prescription of eating iron-rich food and taking iron supplements, but that was it. Then in the spring or early summer of 2021, I really started to feel the symptoms of anemia. So one of the worst were I was constantly dizzy or lightheaded. It would get to the point that if I would tilt my head, because my husband is tall, I would get dizzy. Just moving my head, I couldn't do that too fast, or I felt lightheaded. I felt like I was about to pass out. Exercise also became extremely challenging. I love the gym. I'm a gym rat, and I had to dial back my workouts. I couldn't physically get through them. Also, I really like to lift weights, which is a little challenging. When every time you pick up something, do a few sets, you're about to pass out. I got to a point where I would do my set and then I would sit down on the floor really quickly right after because I was afraid I would just pass out. Even the smallest things would make me short of breath. So something like walking up a short hill or even taking the stairs would make my heart race and I would be short of breath. Even having a conversation with somebody, just talking would make me short of breath. My memory would also start to suffer. I'd be in a situation, I couldn't remember words. I couldn't remember my phone number at one point. I had to look it up. So that was fairly annoying. It's really hard to work as well when you can't put together a sentence that makes sense. And then finally, my nails got super brittle, and they still are. And, I'm just recovering from the anemia now, so I do expect it to take a while before my nails come back. But that's a small thing. I was still resisting going back to the doctor despite all of these symptoms, because I'd been there a few months before, and all I was prescribed was iron-rich food and iron supplements. And I also had this mentality that this was just something I had to power through. In hindsight, not my smartest move. I know that I wasn't really listening to my body. I kept telling myself, this is just gonna go away. This is just part of being a human. But ultimately, I did go and see my doctor. I saw my doctor in end of June 2021. And when I walked in the office and I was explaining my symptoms to him, quite frankly, he was a little bit shaken. Mainly because I wasn't able to carry out a full sentence without really being short of breath. So he could hear it, he could see it. So he did a full blood draw. He also tested my heart and all sort of other tests to see, is it only the anemia that's going on, or is it something else? And my blood work came back, and now my hemoglobin was down to 8.2. And again, the normal range for a female is 11.6 up to 15.2. So now I was way down. It wasn't so bad that it was an emergency yet, but now it's classified as moderate anemia. and my doctor referred me to a hematologist, which is a blood doctor. Since my anemia was due to iron deficiency, the hematologist prescribed me iron infusions. So that's iron in an IV format. He basically said there's no amount of oral iron supplementation or food that'll get you back into range. Not in the time frame that we have, at least. So I was prescribed that. I got 2 infusions a week apart, and it went crazy fast. So just in that 1 week, my hemoglobin went from 8 up to 10. And that was already after the first infusion. I received my second infusion end of July, and by end of August, my hemoglobin was back into a normal range. And I started to feel really, really good. I will say it did take a few weeks after the second infusion before all the symptoms went away. And I still, once in a while, would have a little bit of a setback and would feel short of breath again. But overall, end of August, I would say all my symptoms were resolved. My nails are still brittle and they keep breaking, but I feel healthy. I feel like myself again. I can go for walks, I can go for hikes, I can even go for runs without being short of breath. More than normal at least. And I feel really good. And the dizziness has gone away. So that's amazing. I still need to fix that underlying issue of that pesky fibroid, and I am scheduled for surgery. But right now my bleeding is managed with hormones. So that means my bleeding is managed, and I got the iron IV, meaning that all of that together was able to push up my hemoglobin and thereby my oxygen levels. Thank you for listening to my story. If you have any of those symptoms or you think you have anemia, please go see your doctor. If anything, learn from my mistakes. Don't endure months of anemia symptoms without seeking medical attention. Thank you so much for watching.